Even with all of the training resources known to man, car salesmen still seem to fail to understand how to show a car to a customer, or really just how to sell a car to a customer. So I'm going to do you all a huge favor and show you how to sell a car. Let's start off with the things that you shouldn't do when it comes to showing a car to a customer. So just use a little bit of imagination and pretend like this car is on the front line at a dealership and there are two cars surrounding it. This is not how you show a car to a customer. If that person is showing up via an appointment, you have absolutely no excuse. The car should not be on the front line anymore. You should have it pulled aside, ready to display to the customer. If you happen to be browsing the inventory with the customer and they pick out a car on the front line, you should instantly offer to go inside, pull the keys so that you can pull the car out to give them a better look. I mean, just think about it. If you go to a furniture store or if you go to like any sort of warehouse store, what do the people that work there do when you are looking at something? They pull it out so that you can actually look at the product. Cars are no different. And now you have done the bare minimum. We have the car pulled off of the front line so that the customer can actually take a look at it. Now, if you have the car staged just like this is fine, but it is not ideal because it's really hard to show all the features of the car if the car is like this. Now, there's a term in the car business called the butterfly, where basically you just have the entire car opened up. And so it's likely that the car will look something like this. Obviously, a pickup truck or a sports car is going to look a little bit different than this Jeep because of the stuff that opens up. But you guys get the point. And again, if you have an appointment on a car, you have more than enough time to get that car pulled aside and then to get everything opened up. Now, obviously, you don't have to leave the car opened up all day. If you have an appointment, the person's probably going to say, hey, I'm 15 minutes out. That's your cue to go and open everything up so that the car is ready for them when they arrive. Now, if it is not an appointment, if it's just a customer that you're taking through the inventory, just say that you're going to quickly open up the car so they can actually take a look at it. Most people will be understanding. If they're not understanding, they're probably not actually a serious buyer, right? Because again, all that you're doing as a salesperson is offering to show them the entirety of the product to make sure that it's a product that they actually want to purchase. Now, your job as a salesman slash saleswoman is to sell the car. So now you have to show the features of the car. Now, you guys probably note from my reviews that I always start under the hood, and I do think that's the best place to start because, well, what is powering the car is extremely important. Is it a gas car? Is it a hybrid? Is it an electric? Does it get good fuel economy? Does it have good fuel range or good electric driving range, right? Power outputs, like there's so much that goes into the powertrain department of a car, so it's a good place to start. And chances are you'll have a smartphone in your pocket, and so before your appointment or while you're on the lot with the customer, just quickly look up the specs just to make sure that you're getting everything right. And again, this is something that's super easy to communicate to a person. Just say, hey, I have this memorized pretty well, but not perfectly, and so let me just quickly look up the specs just to make sure that I'm not misquoting you anything on this car. And when you're done with the engine, well, pretty simple. Close the hood. This will now allow the customer to look at the front end design of the car. This week's giveaway is all about muscle and luxury with two Cadillac V cars, the first of which is a CT5V Blackwing and the second is an Escalade V. Both these have supercharged V8s producing nearly 700 horsepower each. They also have tons of luxury and modern technology to match. Not only can you win both of these cars, but part of the giveaway is also $73,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes, and your donations go to help children's and veterans charities. Use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus tickets on any donation, $25 or more. And this is a great time to go over front-end features. Does it have anything happening on the hood? What kind of lights does it have? Are the turn signal indicators cool? Like, do they have animations? Does it have fog lights? Does it have any other features, you know? Does it have skid plate protection if it's an off-road or if it's a sports car? Does it have a front splitter? Just point out the cool details. Again, even if they're super obvious, it's still something to go over. And again, with the super obvious stuff, mention the benefits. Like, hey, this wind shear has synthetic cable, so if it snaps, it's a lot less likely to injure you compared to a steel cable. Now, once you're done with the front end, my recommendation is to go over to the passenger side of the car first. This is where it's easy to show tires and wheels. Does your car have fancy tires and wheels? Does it have fancy suspension or anything happening there? And this is something that I see a lot of salespeople completely skip. They don't talk about the suspension, they don't talk about the tires and wheels of the car, and this is super important stuff for people. And this is a place that's really easy to add value because maybe your manufacturer offers bigger tires than the competitor from the factory, and that's something that's, well, great to mention to sell the car. And since you've done the butterfly, which again, I kind of recommend, that means that you can show features for the front passenger, like the fact that this car has lumbar supports as well as power adjustable seats. Cars are meant to take people around, and so being able to show those features very quickly is important. And that actually could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. Maybe they looked at another car and it had a manual seat for the passenger, but your car has a power seat for the front passenger. Boom, that could be the one thing that kind of tips them over to your car rather than the other one that they're looking at. And you can also offer for them to sit in the passenger side and then also the passenger cabin at this point since it's already open, just so they can kind of see the spacing here in the back and then also the features. Like the fact that there's vents here in the rear and a power outlet. The Bronco that competes with the Wrangler didn't have vents in the back for a very long time, for example. And as always, when you're done, just shut the doors. Takes zero effort. And this is where you swing around to the back where you can show the customer the bed, the cargo area, the trunk, whatever you have going on. And as always, mention key features. This one has the Alpine sound system. And again, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You can see the label there. You can see that there's a little 12 volts outlet. Just be a little bit curious. Look through the items. And once you get the back of the car shut, then this will give the customer the first time to be able to kind of see what the car looks like with everything closed up. And this is a great time for the customer to kind of do a little walk around with you just to take a look at the car with everything closed. I do think this creates a really cool effect because it basically takes the customer through a little adventure where they just look through several items and then now everything's closed up and they can kind of see the bigger picture, right? Now obviously having the passenger side open is completely superfluous with the whole walk around, but it just kind of adds to the effect. But this is definitely not superfluous. Going over the interior now with the customer is super important. If you're showing them a truck, what's the payload? What's the gross vehicle weight rating? The stickers are right here. Take a look at them. Does your car have blind spot monitoring, for example? You know, what kind of trim is on the door panel? Does it have storage? And then of course, features like what's happening with the seat, you know, light controls. Is the steering wheel manual or power? And then at this point, this is where you invite the customer to sit in the driver's seat. So at this point, you've gone over a lot of interior features and a lot of exterior features, and now the customer is in the driver's seat with everything closed up, ready to go on a test drive. Well, almost. I'm doing this all from the salesman POV, so you're going to be here in the passenger seat. And this is where you can go over features on the steering wheel. Like this Jeep, for example, has radio controls on the back of the steering wheel. It also has little paddle shifters. That's pretty useful stuff to know. What kind of gauge cluster features are there? What kind of infotainment system features are there? I mean, on this Jeep, for example, you press the vehicle tab and boom, you've got a forward-facing camera. How many of you Jeep salesmen have shown your customers the forward-facing camera? Yeah, I know, not that many of you. But I think you guys get the point. You need to go over every single feature, as boring as that might sound. Because every single feature that you go over adds value to the car. The more features you show, the more value. Remember, the average brand new car is about $50,000. That is about how much the average person in the US makes per year. So this is a huge purchase for anyone. Now, after you've shown them all of the interior features of the car, well, now it's time to go on a test drive, and I always recommend that you go on a test drive with the customer. Now, sometimes that's not going to work because maybe you're showing a customer a sports car that only has 2 seats and they have their wife with them and they want to take their wife, or maybe they've got a bunch of kids and so you just can't fit in the car. But I sold cars for years, and 95% of the time, there's more than enough space in the car for you to fit. Sometimes you got to sit in the 3rd row, but you can always fit in the car. Now, this isn't to be Big Brother, but rather it is to help out the customer. Because remember, as a salesman, you're a guide, so this is where you can say, hey, we're on the highway, try out the adaptive cruise control. Or it could be something like, hey, this has paddle shifters. Why not try a couple of manual shifts just so you can test out the system? It's called a test drive for a reason. They're supposed to test out the features. Now, they can't test everything out. Like, this is a Rubicon with lockers front and rear. You're probably not going to be taking this off-road with the customer to test out the diff locks on this because, well, you don't want to damage a new car, for example. Even a used one, you're probably not going to want to destroy your inventory. So yeah, as you're going on the drive, tell them to use different features that the car has that kind of change the driving experience or are part of it. And as I've said throughout this whole video, just communicate all of this to the customer. Even if they don't ask, tell them that you're going on the test drive with them so that you can show them the different features that the car has, when to use those different features so that they know what the car actually does. And once you're done with the test drive, this is where I think it's the best time to look at the window sticker of the car. And this isn't to negotiate the price. Now, obviously, if it's a used car, you might not have a window sticker. A lot of times you can find those online. I think it's worth it to show the original option list that the car has. That kind of helps the person know what they're buying. And then also it would show the original MSRP, and you'd be like, hey, this Jeep brand new was $102,000. We're selling it for $70,000. So you're kind of getting this thing for $30,000 less than what it was originally. And since you've maintained communication throughout this whole process, then you're explaining the showing of the window sticker not as we're starting to negotiate on this car because I'm going to try to get you to buy it, but rather I'm showing you the option list on the car so you know what this has and what it doesn't have. I try to show you everything in the walk around, but again, you're human. You might miss a thing or two. But again, it's just another piece of information so that they know exactly what it is that you are looking at. And after all of this is done, now it's time for the person to decide if this is the car that they want to move forward with. Now, if the person says yes to purchasing the car, it's likely that you've shown them the value. Like with this Wrangler, right? You've shown them the V8, you've shown them the rock rails, the double pane windows up front that help out with the sound insulation. Maybe on the test drive, you took the top off, not the whole thing because that takes forever, but maybe the top two pieces that are really easy to take off so that they could have that top-down experience, right? You've shown them what it's like to actually live with this, and so they're like, you know what? I really like that car. Or maybe at the end of this, they say, you know what? I don't think this is the one for me. And this will be a lot easier to navigate for both you and for the customer because you went over all the features in the car, and so you'll be able to go through the items that they don't like that are a deal breaker for them, and then you'll be able to find the car that actually works for them. Since we're using a Jeep for this example, maybe after showing them this Jeep that has 37-inch tall tires, they've said that they really enjoy the Jeep experience, they just don't like having to get in and out of the Jeep. It's just a little bit too tall. Then it's like, okay, so you like everything about the vehicle except the tires are just a little bit too tall because they make getting in and out of the vehicle a little bit of a pain. Okay, let's go look at a Jeep that has all the same features this has, just with smaller tires. Or maybe they state that the second row of the vehicle is just a little bit too small, so you gotta go up in size within the lineup to show them something that has a little bit more second row space. Either way, this gives you the opportunity to show this person more vehicles. Not everyone's going to want to do that. Maybe they want to go and look at what one of your competitors has, but I actually think that if you've gone through this whole process with someone, they're gonna realize that you actually value helping people out, value helping them find the right car, and so they're gonna go, you know what? How about, I was looking at a new car, but how about we look at your used inventory to see if you have something that actually fits my needs, because I want to work with you, because you're actually trying to help me out rather than just trying to get me to buy whatever so that you can make a paycheck. You got to remember, everyone hates salespeople, right? Everyone hates salespeople, and some of it's definitely deserved because a lot of salespeople just care about the paycheck rather than helping people find the right car. Yes, everyone has to make a paycheck. Everyone has to keep the lights on. But if you do things like I showed in this video, then you'll actually make a much better paycheck because you'll have way more customers that come back a second time, right? You'll get those repeats, and you'll also get a lot of referrals because people will go, hey, that dude that I just bought a car from, he did a really good job of showing me the car. He actually listened to me, and he was actually trying to find something that met my needs rather than just trying to move me through the conveyor belt of the dealership so that he can get the next customer and make the next paycheck. Now, in closing, most people will work with you if you communicate properly with this whole walk-around situation, but some people won't. I sold cars for a living. I know some people can just be rude. They'll just be like, hey, I just want to go on a test drive. Shut up, Mr. Salesperson. Just let me take the car out for a drive. It's obviously not ideal, but you got to work with what you're given. So you try to stick to the system as best as you can, and when things go awry, well, again, you try to just stay as close as you can while also just working with what you're given.